Hey everybody, Zombie Soundwave here, and today I want to talk about Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a company I've always been kind of interested in. It's, the people that make Assassin's Creed, the people that make Far Cry. Those are games that I really personally loved in the past. And I'm a big fan of open world games. And Ubisoft's in a really interesting place right now. Obviously, they canceled their shareholder talks. They've paused all of their stuff. And it sure sounds like they've been acquired by somebody. A lot of people are pointing towards Tencent because Tencent has invested in them a lot over the recent years. And I just kind of wanted to break down a couple things about Ubisoft, talk about mostly my opinions and what I think is coming for Ubisoft, and just kind of talk about Ubisoft's culture and really just Ubisoft in general. We're just going to talk broadly about Ubisoft. So, to begin with, obviously, in recent times, there's been a lot of kind of doubt about, Assassin's Creed in general. Assassin's Creed, I feel like a lot of people have kind of moved away from it. They've, either kind of written it off as being just a very commonly released game or even a bad game. And I see points to those. I still quite enjoy Assassin's Creed games of recent. Mirage being especially one that I really enjoyed. I two have not played Shadows yet. Shadows is a game that I have not touched. I know that, obviously, for someone like me who is a big Assassin's Creed fan and a big open world game fan, for me to have not, purchased an Assassin's Creed game is pretty telling of the state of Assassin's Creed. Shadows is still one I want to play, but I didn't really want to spend full price on it when it released. I just haven't really gotten around to it yet. So it's pretty telling of, the state of Assassin's Creed. Now, in going with that, I think that there's plenty of, good things that Assassin's Creed is still doing. As I said, Mirage came out about, 2 years, I think, before Shadows did. And I think that game is great. It really leaned back into some of what made the early Assassin's Creed games so good. I don't really have a whole lot of problems with that game. That game really was pretty successful. I would say that really my only argument I can make against the game is that it has some features from the newer Assassin's Creed games still in it, and I can see where that might be something that some people do not want in the game if they are searching for more of the original Assassin's Creed style. Just kind of using Assassin's Creed as kind of a point of where Ubisoft currently is. I think that we've kind of divided the Assassin's Creed fans into two kind of camps. Obviously, there's the ones that want the classic Assassin's Creed experience, and then there are the people that like the newer Assassin's Creed experience, and I'm sure there are people that don't like either or like both and everything in between. Yeah, I think it's pretty evident that Ubisoft has been losing players. Obviously, I think Mirage did fairly well when it released, but then Shadows, I think, kind of fell below expectations. I think it sold basically less than what Mirage did in a much longer period of time. I think, I'm just gonna throw out numbers because I'm sure these aren't right, but I want to say Mirage was roughly 6 million copies sold in 3 months, and I think Shadows hasn't sold that, and it's been over 6 months. So again, those numbers might be slightly wrong. I read that statistic a while back, and I do not have it in front of me right now. Just to use that as a point, though, is that Shadows has underperformed compared to Mirage. So for Ubisoft, I'm sure that they are in a bad spot because basically Star Wars and Assassin's Creed were supposed to save their company. Those were supposed to be games that, turned the ship around for Ubisoft and allowed them to continue forward. I don't think that's the case. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows underperforming probably was the final straw after Star Wars didn't do nearly as well as they had hoped. I mean, Star Wars did bad. I think Shadows did bad for an Assassin's Creed game, and even bad might be an overstatement. I think it did poorly for an Assassin's Creed game. So obviously that compared to Star Wars, that's two very different things. So what's next for Ubisoft? Obviously it sounds like they've been acquired by Tencent. I have concerns about that. Tencent, I don't think probably has all of the best interests at heart for what the future of Assassin's Creed and Far Cry are. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully those games still come out and are very good. I think there are worse companies that could have purchased them too. So that's good, I guess, if Tencent is the company that purchased them. And then on top of that, just to step back for a minute, I guess, and talk about, where gaming is currently. We've seen a lot of acquisitions. We've seen a lot of people, getting their hands into gaming recently. A lot of changes, a lot of talks of AI, lots of different things in gaming. To pull the curtain aside for a second and to talk about where we currently are, I mean, Ubisoft, two of the biggest games this year are people who left Ubisoft to work on their own things, and that's kind of crazy. Like, Claire Obscura, Expedition 33, that game was ex-Ubisoft dev that got tired of working on Ubisoft games and decided to just leave and try to make his own game. And, that game is now up for Game of the Year. Guess what? Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't. And then Dispatch. I'm pretty sure I read the other day that one of the developers on Dispatch was another ex-Ubisoft employee. So two of your biggest games this year that have had so much word of mouth, have sold so well, have been such big hits on like YouTube and Twitch. You've got both of these games coming from people that stepped away from Ubisoft because they felt like they couldn't make the games they wanted to make and, went off and made their own games. So I think Ubisoft's in a pretty dire spot. I'm curious to see if this acquisition can actually turn it around for them. I tend to think it won't. I mean, I'm sure that being owned by another studio, they'll make changes, and maybe those changes will be beneficial. Hopefully they will. Hopefully Assassin's Creed and Far Cry still exist and can, release some really great games in the future, like those studios under the Tencent or whoever acquired them umbrella. But unfortunately, I don't know. I feel like we've been waiting a long time for Assassin's Creed to become the series it once was, and I'm not sure that it can again. Like, I feel like they're kind of chasing a different audience, and it's really divided the core groups, and maybe that is the future. Maybe we will see, the Mirage team continue to make more classic Assassin's Creed style games, and then we'll have more of the RPG element to, the other teams. But yeah, Ubisoft's in a weird place. I'm curious to see what comes of this. I'm figuring we'll probably hear something about it soon. It seems like a lot of people have been talking about it behind the scenes, like a lot of like higher up journalist people have been kind of saying that they're hearing that an acquisition has happened, but they don't seem to have all the information yet either. So hopefully we'll hear about it soon. I might make another video at that point and maybe kind of try to lock in more. If it's Tencent, I don't feel like I have a whole lot more to say than what I've said now of like, Tencent is such a big company. I don't really know what they're going to do with it. I'm sure they're going to try to continue these brands and stuff, but ultimately they're going to just do what is best for making money. So, because they're just such a large brand, they're not going to probably put players or the game first. It's going to be money first. So we'll just have to see. I'm just not sure. If it's somebody like PlayStation or Xbox, we can get into a, deeper discussion of, like, obviously they want money too, but they might have a little bit more liberty to, push, like, PlayStation especially, like, they're so big on their single-player games, they might be able to push more of that side. So, I don't know. We'll talk about that if we hear more about who has acquired them, but hopefully this video is what you were hoping for. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like. I hope you all have had a wonderful day. I hope to see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.